Welcome back to Comic Book Nation, the only show that does it all for geek culture and the official podcast of comicbook.com. I am your host, Kofi Outlaw, and with me today I have my co-host, Janelle Wheeler, Matthew Aguilar, and joining us once again, Mr. Evan Valentine. What's up, guys?
Hello,
hey,
hello.
good morning. Howdy.
Happy to be here.
Man.
Cheers.
And yeah, we got a lot to do for geek culture today. That's certainly true. And we're going to be talking about a whole lot of stuff. We will be talking about Agatha All Along's big reveal, the new film, The Wild Robot from Dreamworks, the explosive WWE docuseries, Mr. McMahon, now streaming on Netflix. Plus, I didn't know until I started putting together the show in the middle of the night that we had so many trailers this week and big ones to discuss.
Oh my gosh.
We got to discuss Marvel Thunderbolts, The Last of Us Season 2, John Wick's The Ballerina, Ryan Coogler's Sinners, and Gladiator 2, and what's going on with that. Plus, you know, The Rings of Power is still a TV show, and I'm going to check in kind of there. But up front, we got to do some kind of housekeeping announcements. I've been just kind of sitting down, chilling out. I don't even know how many people are watching this right now, so we'll just put it out there, and then we'll follow it up later. But yeah, some housekeeping announcements. If you have noticed that our segments are gone this week, Anime Initiative, which Evan Valentine was awesome and pioneering for us, Quick Save, the pull list, you know, the one recap and things like that. You know, don't adjust your dials. We've had some changes. As you know, Comic Book was sold from Paramount. We have new owners, and we've just for the last month or so been in the kind of always crazy process of transitioning between goals between one company to another company. And this week we got the official word that what's going to happen is we are going to be doing just a restructuring. You'll still be getting Comic Book Nation. We're still here and waking up early for you every week. However, we will be just doing the live show for the foreseeable future. All our other segments and kind of reaction shows and such will be on pause for now. We will just be doing the live show. Right now, it'll be every Friday. We may switch days. We're kind of debating that internally, and we're going to get that figured out. But we will just be doing the live show. But what does this mean? It means that, you know, in the last year or so, we really kind of blew Comic Book Nation out into, like I said, all those wonderful segments and shows that I just named with all the wonderful people who helped us do them. Megan Peters, from leader of the anime team, Nick Valdez, Evan for their show, Logan Moore over on gaming, the entire gaming team who has rolled through here and helped us, Matt doing the pull list every week and helping out with the comics team and all that. So none of that stuff is gone because none of those people are gone. They're all still here. And so we're just got to do what we did in the beginning, which is condense that all back into a show that is hopefully not too long to annoy Richard in the back there. But it's going to be it's going to be a pretty long one. Yeah, no promises, Richard. I'm sorry. No promises. We might be here a minute. We got a lot to cover these days, man. I'm sorry, bro. Yeah. So we will be condensing all of our content back down into one show. I know for some of you who have been asking us, I'm just going to say, yes, we will be the only comicbook.com podcast for the foreseeable future. It'll be us doing this live show, and that's about it. So we want to just say thank you to all our, longtime fans and everybody who interacts in these things, because you're the reason we are still here. It was a good look to be able to have, something from the comic book brand to feature all of our wonderful writers and talent and all the things that are sometimes too fast for us to type out for you every day, and to represent that side of the site. And the fact that we were also interacting with you guys and having you guys kind of lock in with us was a big deal in the new company, despite all our goals. And our goals right now aren't bad. There's nothing sinister. We don't need to blink twice or anything like that. Some of you are like deep fans, things like I'm working with Ben Kendrick again, who I've worked with before. And we're just trying to work on making Comic Book the best kind of written site that we can right now. That's just what our goal is. And it's not like a big secret. It's not a trade secret. We're just focusing on the writing, focusing on the clickety clack and making our site better than the thing some of you have been secretly making fun of for years anyway. So we're trying to improve from that, from a branding perspective. And then we're going to get back into, hopefully more expansive media things. So that's the tea, guys. That's it. It's not as scalding as you might think. It's just, new ownership, new day, new era saying, hey, let's write the best stuff we can first, have a great site, then have great media on top of that site. And those are just the marching orders. And we said, aye, aye. And so we'll be here every Friday. And you don't think we're going to have stuff to get off? I mean, you're wrong. We've been talking so much over so many shows now that we now have to save it all up. We're going to be like that Dennis Reynolds meme, like so that's what it is. And honestly, hopefully this is the last one of these I got to do, because if anybody in this team will tell you, I'm not the one you want to send out to be the spokesperson. Like, I'm not the guy you send out to be the spokesperson.
Keeps it real.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it way too real with you. And at the end, there's probably going to be like, and I don't even give a F with, and so I don't need to talk that much. So like, let's just keep me out of the spotlight thing. So hopefully this is the last PSA I have to do about anything that's going on. We're okay. We don't need to blink twice. It's been a hard, transition, and like there've been people affected and stuff like that. And there's people we miss, and there's things we miss, but we're all still working here. We're all still talking to you. So we're all good. And let's just, let's get on with the show.
Mephisto!
Mother effing Mephisto!
Mephisto is
Matt, you make fun of me last week. I put it in the notes last week. Is it Mephisto? And Matt was all on my back. He was like, don't you start. Don't you start. But now
I was.
It's finished now.
I finally have to eat crow on Mephisto. It only took 3 years, but yes.
Don't you feel like it's like an eye roll moment?
Oh my God, that was so cathartic.
Not even
Thank
exciting.
you. Janelle, what a wonderful segue. That was cathartic.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's talk Agatha All Along. This is your segment, Janelle. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. So episode 3. I was going to say episode 3 of Agatha All Along. It did air. This one was very interesting because it was kind of laying this out of what exactly we're doing on this road, and kind of, I guess, what we have to look forward to. There's going to be these challenges that week to week, I guess we're going to get a new challenge for a couple episodes. The first one was, it was interesting. It was, I really actually liked what they were doing with this. It just, again, felt a little long. Like it felt like a little longer than it needed to be to just get to plot. However, I enjoyed the episode myself, and I know that we got a Mephisto drop. I'll just weigh in really quick my thoughts with that. Too little, too late. Like it's awkward at this point. Like with all of the Mephisto rumors of like WandaVision, I just feel like we didn't even need the Mephisto thing, unless Mephisto is straight up the killer boss and the point of the show. But if that was just kind of like fanfare, like they were just kind of playing to the fans and getting people excited, I would be so frustrated. So it, I'm trying to stay optimistic here. I feel like everyone did a great job acting in this. I just don't know. And honestly, there are some reveals, if you guys haven't seen it yet, there are some reveals with like the gentleman in the group that I'm not going to spoil, but that it was so obvious at this point that it's kind of like, I mean,
it's been a couple days now. This is the beauty of us being on Friday now. Like,
I can feel Janelle's enthusiasm too.
Well, they're kind of like so they're insinuating. To me, the most clear thing is that the dude that is part of this group is Agatha's son. Like, it's so obvious. Yeah, well, to me.
But that's the thing. There's like a whole bunch of Marvel fans who want to go on this whole journey about him being Wiccan, who is Wanda's son in the thing, but we could get a flip on that. Like, does Agatha have a son in the comics?
I have no idea. I don't know a lot about Agatha.
She does actually.
Mhm.
I can't remember his name.
But I
at
don't
least I
remember.
looked
I
it up.
couldn't tell you details about the son.
It just feels so obvious. Like it's almost so obvious that this
Oh,
is her
Nicholas
son that
Scratch.
it
I'm a dummy.
doesn't
Yes.
seem. It's like it would be weird if it was. Like
And
if
who is Nick Scratch? Because like, is that a
So, and they've actually the other thing feeding that is yes, the fact that they have referenced Nick Scratch in the first episode. So I mean, they are laying breadcrumbs. I still think it's Wiccan, but yeah,
I hope it's Wiccan because I think that like it would be way too obvious if it's her son. Like I don't like that. Like I'm a critical thinker. Like make me confused.
Well, I think
like
I know which moment. Let's talk about that moment for a minute because it's with Jennifer Kale, and I don't want to butcher her name. I always butcher her name, but Jennifer Kale is talking to him, and the thing about it that stuck out for me was it wasn't played like it was a red herring for us to guess. It was like a thing she was trying to drop in his head.
Yeah.
Like maybe like insinuating, maybe I think she was like almost trying to push him into that idea. Like maybe you could be her son or something like that, or some kind of like just trying to stir the pot with him in some kind of way. And I thought that was a little too obvious. And so I think you have to find out that like something, if you're getting, because the baby stuff is really dark, and I put that in the notes, right? Like this show is lighthearted and funny, but to me, like it is just WandaVision Part 2 to me. Like it's just WandaVision Part 2 with, I mean, it's the exact same kind of beats because that's what WandaVision was. Like I love those first 2 episodes when they started to get like really creepy, like when they would go from that like 1950s thing, and then something heavy would happen, and then like for a minute it would get really creepy. And so like here is even kind of darker. Like the stuff with the baby and the visions they were seeing and all that. Like I'm digging all that. So it's WandaVision Part 2, and I think Jack Schaefer's doing a great job of just giving you enough in each episode, and then kind of letting this larger ensemble play, because seeing these ladies do it together, kind of bantering off each other, is really what I settled into this episode. Like they really got me on that. Like I enjoy that. They even took Aubrey Plaza out of it, and we're like, okay, like let's see if the rest of the ladies can run. And they did a beautiful job, because it is just like a single setting episode for a lot of it, in them in that room, and just kind of cutting angles around the room to different conversations and things, which is almost like a party segment, which is really hard to do. So I really am enjoying this more. I like it that it doesn't feel like it's essential to the MCU. It's in the MCU, but it's not essential to it. And so we're just kind of telling our own story. And this is why I'm beginning to like the supernatural stuff more. It's just, it can be creepy, it can be a little scary, or full on like Werewolf by Night. And it's just unburdened by the rest of the MCU because it's its own insulated world. And in that sense, I hope they're setting up Mephisto to be like the Thanos of this side of the world, where we don't need to see him, but everything is kind of webbed into him. Because we have an article on comicbook.com, read comicbook.com for faster progression on getting more media up. So on comicbook.com, we have a new article up that's talking about an Easter egg where, it's also kind of played from deep cut Marvel fans, because Jennifer Kale is a very pivotal supernatural character in the more modern Marvel universe. And they did a lot of retcons to it to kind of also incorporate a lot of Ghost Riders kind of history, and the history of like the forces behind Ghost Rider and all of that. And a lot of that goes through Mephisto. So it's like somebody who is related to Ghost Rider possibly telling us about Mephisto, and to somebody who could be like Wanda's kid. There's all of that is very Mephisto-y. And so like, I hope that, he should never be like somebody that we're battling in a third act, because that's not the devil, right? And that's why people love Mephisto, because he's basically the Christian devil, who is one of the most compelling characters in, creative fiction for some reason. Don't ask me why. Did, but we love that character. So, and that's what Mephisto is best is, when he's slippery, when he just poofs in and starts messing with things and messing with people and influencing things or creating something terrible like a black heart and then poofs out again. And that's what it is. And if I believe so, he also gets more trippy when you get to Mephisto, because doesn't he cross through realities or something like that? Like, isn't he like independent of all that?
Yeah. So one of the things,
multiple Mephistos that like work together.
That's part of Jason Aaron's Avengers run.
Comics,
which is its own whole thing that we should not delve into.
We will not delve into that whole comic. I think one of the things that got me into comics originally was actually Marvel's Midnight Suns stuff.
Yeah, classic.
The supernatural aspects. That has been something that has kind of been missing from the MCU. You know, we've been able to tread water a little bit with stuff like Doctor Strange, obviously Scarlet Witch, and WandaVision.
No, sorry. We were looking at the chat. Somebody said Maggie Smith.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I saw that.
Oh no.
What is this week? Breaking news. Actress Dame Maggie Smith has passed away at the age of 89. You know her from Downton Abbey, Sister Act, the Harry Potter movies where she played Professor McGonagall. Long storied career. Maggie Smith, one of our great entertainers. Godsford Park, Room with a View. She did everything from the best exotic Marigold Hotel, from the best kind of genre films to the highest kind of stage films and prestige films. Yeah, she really did it all. And that's she lived a big accomplished life. She's a dame, but still that sucks to hear. So thank you, James Bass from over on the Facebook live stream, for keeping us up to date. Hook, Death on the Nile, man, Clash, well, and these are like the classic movies I'm talking about. The Death on the Nile, that, really the Clash of the Titans, all of these, the classic ones that got everybody inspired to keep doing those remakes later. Richard III. Yeah, this is crazy. Divine Secrets of the Ya Sisterhood. My goodness. Anyway, so this has been a crazy week. I'm going to take a little sip for Maggie Smith. Dame Maggie Smith, R.I.P. Man, that's a sad one. She has been either the tough British lady or kindly British, matriarch to us all at one point or another in our lives. So rest in peace, Dame Maggie Smith. All right, so let's get back to the show. Man, we keep trying to keep it light around here, and it's
the universe refuses.
This week, man,
the first part of the show is already not.
My best friends, my plane, I think, is canceled. It's nuts out here today. It's just getting crazy. All right. So what are we talking about? Mephisto all along.
Mephisto and Midnight Suns. The supernatural aspect of the MCU is something that I've been dying to see explored further. I mean, we got Ghost Rider and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but we haven't gotten a quote unquote official Spirit of Vengeance yet. For those who don't know, the one comic reference that I do know is that Jennifer Kale had a big role in Ghost Rider. Her ancestor, Noble Kale, was actually revealed to be the Ghost Rider that was linked to Danny Ketch, the second Ghost Rider after Johnny Blaze.
Hashtag that's my Ghost Rider.
Hashtag, oh, dude, yeah, totally. Yes, Kofi, cheers to that. Danny Ketch, best Ghost Rider. Then Robbie Reyes, then Johnny Blaze. But I first. Oh, Robbie Reyes first. Oh yeah. Well, as long as we agree on our Green Lantern,
who said that?
We're good.
I did. Dan. I feel like, I don't know. Dan Ketch.
Oh man,
he went through some real 90s stuff, buddy.
But Agatha has been really good in terms of creating this new platform for a lot of the supernatural stuff. I hope that Catherine Hahn wants to stick around to continue to do this, because I know we're going to talk about the Thunderbolts trailer a little later, but I was hoping that she was going to secretly be a member of that group, because she would have been an amazing wild card pick for it. But yeah, no, I hope that like, and Agatha's been doing really well, like ratings wise, I've seen so far. So I'm really hoping that this is kind of a springboard to more Midnight Sunsy kind of stuff, and we get like a team with like Doctor Strange, Werewolf by Night, Agatha, all those good characters that they really need to.
If anybody's coming into the chat right now and asking us like housekeeping stuff, first of all, we're on at 9 a.m. Eastern, and we started off the show doing all the housekeeping talk we're going to do. So just go back and rewind and listen to everything we said at the beginning of the show. That's for Dodger Dog 34 over on Twitch. We talked about everything. So we told you everything that's happening, why it's happening, and what the plans are for the show going forward. Hit the rewind button, go back to the beginning. It'll explain everything. Thank you. Yeah, so anybody else have anything to weigh in on this, on the Mephisto of it all, or Agatha?
I'm just so
anyone
excited to be
surprised?
really covering
Whoa.
Marvel.
Oh, go ahead, Janelle.
I'm just so excited that we're really deep diving Marvel again, because I've missed it and it feels really nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
And my thing was completely the opposite.
You're like, I'm done with Marvel. Like,
no. I was just like, so Evan brought it up that like it is doing really well. Like Agatha All Along is doing really well in the ratings and stuff, and we've seen a couple things, and I'm frankly a little surprised that it is doing so well, and I think that's a testament to WandaVision. WandaVision is this, even though I'm not as big a fan as other people are, WandaVision is like this enduring thing for Marvel. And I feel like, I know I've been very much like, hey, this was like years late. Like I'm kind of checked out about caring about this and everything that's really connected to it. But I gotta say, like, this proves, I don't know, I feel like unless they just drop the ball completely as we move forward, this proves that there is really staying power with that part of the Marvel franchise. I would not be surprised to see more come from this. I also love Evan's Agatha theory. That's a great. Now I'm kind of bummed that's not that, or at least it appears that it's not that way. Maybe it will still, but yeah. So that's just me.
All right, Dodger Dog 34. We're going to stop the entire show just for you, buddy. The other shows are gone. We are the only one left. Let that sink in for a minute. Process, like I tell my kids. Yes, process. Yeah, I'm not being crude. Like, we did a whole 8-minute segment on this at the beginning of the show. Please feel free to rewind, but we are the only show left. This was not our decision, but there's reasons for the decision. You can go back and listen more extensively. We're going to keep now going. My God, I hope this just ends this week. All right. Matt, something that's up next. I'm very curious. Yeah. Phase 0, Dodger Dog would be Dodger Dog. All the other shows, I feel like I'm talking to my son right now. All the other shows would be Phase 0 too. If we're going to have to be the ones to tell you this, fine. Yes, Phase 0 is no longer a program on the Comic Book Podcast Network. There you go. All right. Now, Thunderbolts, Matt.
It's dropped it.
Guys, I have goosebumps, man. I just watched this and I am losing my mind.
Oh, is this like a real time reaction from
Yes, my eyes, I was not looking at the comment section. I was watching the trailer. I was like, oh, my eyes are like bugging out of my head. I cannot tell you how excited I am about this. I'm shocked.
So I gotta say, that's a hell of a trailer. Now I do know that this was supposedly the footage they showed at Comic-Con a while back, and so if you've heard people kind of buzzing about that, like, oh man, wait till you see the footage, hey, I think this is it. And I can understand now why this got the crowd hyped, because this is like, if you were hoping, I don't know, for me, seeing all of these various characters together on this team, you just want to see them interact. That's all. Like, half of it is just seeing them play off of each other and their personalities. And this trailer very much is that like we actually even get a look at how they all, well, most of them start to come together, what leads them to even being a team in the first place. We get to see Bob, which is gonna, you feel like is already gonna steal the show if that whole kind of gimmick continues throughout the movie. And we get a look at the big action, the person bring it all together. This, I mean, I'm a huge Yelena fan. Like, I will watch just a movie about her. I didn't even need everybody else, but everyone else is bonus because this trailer is hot. I feel like this is a fantastic first introduction to this movie that has, like most Marvel projects, been like had its own little share of limbo and shifts and all kinds of things. So it's awesome to see it land like this. At least that's the first reaction from me. What did you guys think?
Bucky with the dishwasher arm. Like that.
You got to take one thing away from this.
Oh my God. It's such a great combination of like kind of explaining how these people get together and why they are together and where they all are at this point in their timeline and their thoughts and feelings. I cannot believe how much they accomplished with this trailer. Just getting all of that in one short trailer. And it still makes me feel like there's so much story that we're going to see. I am so impressed. And I really, really feel like Marvel is crushing it again. Like this gives me the highest of hopes. I haven't been this excited. I don't know. I'm feeling real good about this. Real good.
Oh, is it me? Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's kind of like mixed feelings I have about the Thunderbolts thing. First of all, like, I don't know. I have to see now that we're allowed to kind of like get talking about Marvel content again. But yeah, it's hard for me to still feel like I'm invested in this world overall, like in like what's going on here in the MCU in general. That's why I kind of was just saying, you know, we were going on about Agatha and how much we enjoy that, and I enjoy that, being kind of feeling disconnected from the rest. This is very much connected, but I think it's the direction of director Jake Schreier, who is not somebody we've seen a whole lot from. He's not like a known entity to us. He did Beef, which was excellent.
Yeah,
but that was on like some other whole level. But I mean, by the end, you know, Beef, if you know like what Beef becomes by the end. And you can see that in that sequence with them. So I think it's the directing that has me more so than the MCU of it all. Because I saw the MCU characters and stuff, and I was just like, okay, you know, oh, cool, it's Ghost in a new costume. Taskmaster looks a little more Taskmaster-y. Like, okay, I don't care anymore. Like, I think that part of me is just kind of done. But the direction, like, almost from like a Die Hard perspective, like just seeing them all trade off in that room with like very violent people trying to kill each other and like surviving because they're all high grade operatives, and then just a sequence using like the Hitchcockian thing of a knife and everybody like how everybody deals with the knife as they're like going through it and what it highlights about them, and you know how, you know, both their skills but also their kind of mind states. Like US Agent's obviously a psycho, he's aggressive and trying to put a knife in Florence Pugh's face. Florence Pugh is Yelena's resourceful and quick-witted, and you know can take care of herself that way and counter what he's doing. Ghost can, you know, fate all that stuff. So it is this weird thing where I feel like this movie can maybe lock in and nail the Avengers thing even better in some ways than we've seen an Avengers movie do since the first Avengers, if we're really being honest. Which is pretty much the only one of those movies that's actually about like the team coming together and the team dynamics. The rest of it is like all of them trying to deal with some other thing. But this looks like it could lock in and be that in an edgier and kind of more dysfunctional, funny, and hopefully funny way. And like you said, Bob already being a thing, and Lewis Pullman, you know, because people are freaking out about Steven Yeun and stuff like that. But like, it looks like this could be a star-making thing for Lewis Pullman, who looks like he's going to be kind of like a weird buff Tom Holland type, and have like a taller buffer.
His introduction is just so good. It's
and so
I'm
it
one of
looks
the
like
biggest Steven Yeun fans, and I totally forgot in this trailer. I forgot he was even supposed. So that's a good sign, right?
right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he won me over for sure.
Man, I'm learning something. Is that Bill Pullman's son?
Yeah, it is Bill Pullman's. I was going to mention that. He does look. He looks a lot like Bill Pullman. If you
when you say it now, like it's impossible not to see that. Like, yeah.
I think
like,
that one of the things that originally when I saw like the initial, because I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago that they revealed like the lineup of the team at San Diego Comic-Con, and when I saw the lineup initially, I was very much I was on the same wavelength as Kofi, which was kind of like, oh, they're all like Captain America clones, like not to disparage their characters, but like when it comes to like power set, skill set, all that stuff, like. They all like how many people have a shield? 3 out of the
True.
Taskmaster, Red Guardian, Bucky has a shield sometimes, and but I think
Evan hates shields.
I hate shields. I hate them.
Matt likes helmets. Evan hates shields.
I like me some Sentry. I think Sentry's a great character.
We should do like a breakdown, like top of your like everybody draft like their top comic book character, like accessories, like weapons or accessories. Should form some kind of like
we can
magic count. Be an episode. Sure.
Of course magic counts. Or does it?
I think that like, but this trailer really spun me around in terms of like Kofi said. You said like the team dynamic of it, the characters bouncing off each other. I think that like there's something to be said from like the first Avengers and how that worked, which is actually something I hadn't really thought about before, which was like how they all bounce off each other, how their personalities clash. And I think like in this trailer specifically, they're kind of able to show that in a way. Mm-hmm. I think like Matt came up with the point of like, hey, I'll watch anything that Florence Pugh is in. And like her character in general has been fantastic wherever she's shown up in the MCU. And so I think that that is something that like we were able to see in like this 3-minute teaser trailer for how Thunderbolts is going to work. My prediction is that the Asterix is effectively like they're going to be the government sanctioned Avengers team.
Yeah.
So like I think that's will they be quote unquote dark Avengers? Like yeah, for all intents and purposes.
But not
But not like officially. They're not going to come out and say we're the dark Avengers.
Yeah. Just to be clear, like here, I think the whole shift will be at the end. There will be some kind of comedic cutoff where it's just like them talking, and they're like, "Well, we got your next mission" or something like that, and they do the Dark Avengers thing, which is actually presenting these people to the public as Avengers characters, as slightly tweaked Avengers characters, and that'll be the end. And then the actual title card at the end of the movie will be Avengers. And
that'd be awesome.
And or like New Avengers or something like that, and that'll be like the actual kind of quote unquote reveal at the end of it that this is what this movie really was, the debut and coming together of a new Avengers team, and like even something weird like this whole thing was a test or something like that, and crazy like this, and whoever survives is like on the team or something like that. And so yeah, that's my prediction. And so Thunderbolts, I'll be surprised if we even see that anywhere as a title card in the movie. I think it'll be like Iron Man, like it'll be like Iron Man or something, like where you just jump into the movie and then the events play out, and then at the end it just says like New Avengers, and then boom, and then we're off to the races.
That'd be cool.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Marvel, I've been the one saying over here, I know you haven't been checking us out for any Marvel content in a long time, but I've been sitting over here for a year saying Marvel really needs to stay dangerous. Like, you gotta stay dangerous. You gotta do crazy stuff like this. Like, this is how you unveil your new Avengers team. It makes more sense why Scarlett Johansson's also back in there getting money as an executive producer. She knows. She's like, you're gonna make up for that Black Widow. So yeah.
Oh, we have a question in the chat. What do we think of the asterisk? Says Biohazard.
What? Are you my wife? No. I'm your comic book work wife. Oh my god. I'm sorry, my wife's gonna kill me. Oh my god,
I love your wife.
I'm so scared of her. I'm so scared. All right, I shouldn't have said that. Sorry, honey. Woo, I'm gonna pay for that.
You guys
Anyway,
just answered, I'm good, says Biohazard. No, you're good. All right, awesome.
Yeah, we just did.
Jesus.
That was the whole thing we were just talking about. Is why that was like the whole.
So
diatribe
sorry,
we went
I
on.
am bouncing back and forth into the chat.
That's gonna come back to bite you.
Oh no, you're all good.
Yes.
You're all good.
Sorry, guys. Okay, I'm just blacking out over here.
I'm more concerned about my own safety now.
Scroll to the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I know. I'm telling people to do that, and I'm not listening. I
we
love it.
covered it in the first segment.
You see me in the chat.
All right.
I'm just gonna copy pasta that line and just paste it into chat anytime someone pops up. How about that?
No, you're good. You're good. But yeah, we just covered that. We said, just to catch you up real quick, Jay, we said we think that you'll never see the actual title Thunderbolts in the movie. At the end,
Yeah.
it'll be revealed that they're like new Avengers or something like that. But what they'll be doing is playing out the Dark Avengers storyline from the comics, which is when they put up a bunch of bad guys and rebranded them as official Avengers to the
I
public.
love that.
I will. I'm going to throw this idea out there because I absolutely have been crossing my fingers and hoping and praying that this would happen. Is that at the end of this movie, Willem Dafoe steps out and he says, "Oh, these are my Avengers." How cool would that be? if they had,
I would riot in the theater. I would riot.
like
You
Norman
know,
Osborn
I'm
is
something
back,
of an
and they just-
Avenger myself.
I'm so
like,
oh, dude.
I would riot.
Let's
I would
go, man.
riot.
Now, if that doesn't happen, we're all gonna be disappointed.
Sorry.
I know we're all
Sorry.
setting ourselves up for such sadness. Oh, but that I would riot. I'm not kidding. If they brought him out as Norman Osborn,
That'd be so
and or like you see Val talking, and they're like, and he's just like, well, you know. But I can see that, like, you know, you had a good first run, but they're going to need some upgrades, and it like steps out and it's Norman Osborn.
cool. Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be so cool.
Woo! I'll be like, let's go. I'm like, yeah, Spider-Man tie-in, new Avengers. Like, see, that'll be staying dangerous. Maybe
Mhm.
Spider-Man 4 will start to make some more sense after that. Like, yeah, there's a lot of ways I'd be excited. Oh man, okay. Oh, you guys are getting me
the
stoked.
positive Marvel person on this because, like, I'm excited for Spider-Man 4 ever since we got that director shift.
Oh no,
Dude,
we had a whole segment
stoked
saying,
about
"Are you all
Marvel."
having
But,
strikes today?"
I know, but it feels like you're really down on it right now, and I feel
No,
like I'm
I
more
have
positive.
had
I'm
a,
with you, Matt.
I built my whole stupid career on the MCU here. Like, I've loved it, but it's
Your
just
career
been,
is-
I said you
it's
feel
let me
on
down.
It now.
You're right. You're correct. I'm not on why I'm arguing with you. You are very much correct. Yes, I do. I feel down on it right now. But that was the whole point of my thing, to bring us fully back around to a long ass Kofi Outlaw point. Like, the whole problem at the end of the point is that this got me back into it, and it's because of the creative. It's the direction that's getting me into it. It's actually pulling me in with actual cinematic creativity instead of just here's more MCU content cut out of the baloney sheet of MCU content. So I'm kind of digging that. So it feels like we're staying a little dangerous between this and Brave New World, Captain America, Brave New World. I'm like, we're getting back to that phase 2 point where things clicked in. We're rolling the dice on directors who are talented but need that breakout and are just ready to go and are going to put their all into it. So I'm happy doing that. And I always said, and we always said on this show, that we needed to stay more earthbound and get into more earthbound things.
I didn't.
Oh, you were the opposite. Sorry. Sorry.
That's
Sorry.
okay.
All right.
Because honestly, it looks awesome, like what they're doing.
Yeah.
And if they've won me over, then we're great.
Yeah, and we haven't even seen things like the Century and that whole the void, the darkness of it all. Like that, this could get really dark in points and be like really top notch MCU content. So
Absolutely.
all right. We've taken so many detours and we got so much to do. And yeah, Rich is going to kill us. So we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we got more trailers to talk about. So many more trailers that we got to run through a lot quicker than this.
Okay.
All right. So stay tuned. Okay, Evan, next trailer is yours, buddy. Yeah, sorry. Oh my God, we didn't even put. I knew there was news. This is going to be so hard to do every week. Yeah, let's just address it, Matt, because I'm sorry. I don't want to leave this out because, Matt, I know you're excited about this one. So we got a new lantern this week in DC, right?
Yeah, I stuck it.
Yeah, we didn't even. Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Did you put it in news? Are we going to get to it? Okay, make sure. Okay, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Okay. Evan, you want to take this trailer?
Yeah. So for earlier this week, they released the another trailer, or I don't think it's the first trailer, but they released a trailer for The Last of Us Season 2. It showed a lot of events. For those of you who played the PlayStation game, it's clear that they are following the blueprints of the game for the second season. We are going to directly start exploring the ramifications of what Joel did at the end of season 1, as well as introducing a new character named Abby. While Joel and Ellie just attempt to they found some stability, and then a lot of bad stuff happens. What would The Last of Us be without horrible things happening? So they are, I'll just say, for those of you who have somehow, I don't know, I would love to see the percentages of people who actually just watch the show and haven't played the games. But for those of you who have just watched the show, we're not going to spoil anything about it, but just steel yourselves. Get ready for some good cries in general.
So that's me.
Yeah, Janelle. Oh yeah,
yes.
Get ready to be emotionally damaged by this.
It's really
season.
funny that you say that, because when I watched this trailer, I was like, I don't know if I want to even watch this because I don't know if I'm ready. Like, I just had a baby. Like, I just want to be all happy and holiday right now.
You will not be happy with this. I mean, you'll be happy in the sense that it's excellent storytelling, but you will not be happy in terms of emotionally preparing yourself.
It looks crazy.
Man, I forgot how dark this game is.
There's always something. There's always something to be said, because much like you, Kofi, I'm a purveyor of horrible dark storytelling in terms of really adult subject matter and stuff like that. So I think The Last of Us really excels at that, like what it means to be human, what it means to try to carve out a life for yourself rather than just surviving. And that's something that The Last of Us always was able to do with its game, and that the Max series was able to capture in that first season. If this follows the original storyline of the game, something big will happen, probably in episode 1. So everybody just prepare yourselves.
You think it'll be that quick?
No,
I'm very curious about. I'm very curious about how they are going to do the storytelling in this.
Yeah,
because there's two ways you can go about it. You can do it from the kind of drastic flashpoint and then do a lot of flashback kind of context building, or you can build up to it. And I'm kind of really curious, which way we're going to go with this, because there's a lot of things I see from the game, but there's also a lot of things that are out of context enough that feel like they could be tricking us, in that this season is a lot of the backstory on both sides. Because the second game has multiple characters you're playing as, and that you're going to see a lot of backstory on both sides before we get there to this kind of drastic thing, because there's a lot to build up.
More.
I would too, because you have the long form TV show to do it, and we already know they're going to do season 3. So I think that they're going to build up and give you a lot of more backfilling and backstory, and focus a lot more on the tensions between Joel and Ellie and do that. But I could be very wrong and you could be very right, and we could just really get into this right out of the gate. But Catherine O'Hara's character and things like that, there's also just so much in the second game I'm beginning to remember you have to explain about the larger world of what's going on and who the factions are and why they are and all that stuff. So I'm hoping they flesh that out enough for people to really understand. I mean, we got the creepy feel her love kind of blood thing and all of that, and there's a lot to get into. So I hope we do build it out, because we have the opportunity. I mean, I think they chose these scenes very carefully, because there's a lot of them that could be either way. There could be they're scenes from the game, or they're kind of scenes that are triggering our memories of the game and kind of playing on that. So I don't know.
I thought that there was a lot of ancillary material from the first season that wasn't in the games that worked really well, especially like in terms of those intro bumpers, in terms of like kind of delving into the world at large and how people are reacting to this, you know, apocalyptic scenario and everything. And I think that for me personally, the messaging of part 2, the game, kind of hit me a little more in terms of in comparison to the first game, because it just explores revenge and like ultimately what does revenge get you, and is it, you know, will it ultimately be worth it when you know, get what you want. You might get what you want, but you don't get what you need. And I think that that's kind of something that The Last of Us, with its messaging in general, is paramount at. And I'm very excited to see this. I think like Abby is a fantastic.
Yeah, I was about to say, we don't use that word around here.
We don't use that.
Just bleep it out, like
Agatha,
like Nick Scratch like Nick Scratch when I say it, and then there's like a little P symbol that like goes over my mouth. Yeah.
All right, we gotta start picking up our pace here. But yeah, that was well said. If anybody has any burning things to say about The Last of Us, go ahead and get it off your chest real quick.
We're good. Just excited.
All right. All right, we're going to burn through these next few because I'm going to talk fast for a couple minutes here and see if I can't speed us up to the big talking point for all of us. Couple more trailers to be aware of. John Wick, the Ballerina, was out with Ana de Armas in the central wall of the Ballerina. And yeah, look good. Janelle is so-so.
Yeah.
Let's zero in on Janelle. Do you think this can equal up to a John Wick movie, or are you just seeing John Wick light?
The action looks amazing. I'm not interested in the story.
Okay, cool.
That's it.
Fair enough. Gladiator 2 dropped a final trailer, kind of confirming a lot of things about what this story is and how it fits in. I find it ambitious and interesting that we're going with like a real-time kind of Maximus's son has grown up and, you know, is now fighting in the gladiatorial arena. Paul Mescal looks like he might actually hold this movie down. And the sequences in the gladiatorial arena, I mean, look pretty crazy, right? Like we got like sea wars, beast wars. Like this is going to be pretty nuts. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Really, Scott, did he do it? Did he really do it? We'll see. It's going to be crazy. All right. And finally, Sinners. Evan, what'd you think about the Sinners trailer? Oh, Matt, you were excited for the Sinners trailer? This might be today's biggest grenade. Matt's excited for the Sinners trailer.
Oh, go, Evan.
What's not to be excited about? Looks amazing. Ryan Coogler.
Yeah,
Michael B. Jordan.
Go ahead,
Let's
Evan.
Vampires.
Yeah, no.
Michael B. Jordan is one attractive man. That's all I have to say. Holy wow.
I mean, yeah, I met the man in person.
Dope, man. Now, as the lone defender of Day Shift on this show, I love that movie.
Wow.
Yeah, you're going to be alone on that one, Matt.
I love that movie so much. And this is like the complete opposite. And I also love this. Like the man, talk about what a moody trailer. The way that music cuts. And this duo,
even him playing twins, like, this is crazy.
Yeah, like this duo can't, like, for me, it just like can do no wrong. Like there's just something that works, and like especially like as they start rolling things out, even performances, you know, from people that you don't expect, like they're making those creepy. You know, it looks awesome. This is shot up to like one of my most anticipated films. So I am all in on this.
No, and this is a well-cut trailer because they don't show you anything. They show you reaction shots, like the one where he's just hugging the other guy and they both look up in the sky where obviously something creepy is like taking off or flying. And yeah, like one of my favorite junkets I ever did was the Creed junket in Philly that we did. And we went to the Rocky gym and like Stallone was there. But yeah, Jordan and Coogler have been locked in ever since that film. It is crazy. I've rarely seen a star and a director like this locked in to just doing awesome work together, and it's crazy. And like, yeah, this looks, it's people joking, but like Coogler and Jordan went off and made like a Blade movie before Marvel could make a Blade movie. Like, it's insane. It's insane.
I'll do it myself.
Yeah, I'll do it myself. Just like, and
it looks
like, yeah,
like
the
he
cast
did.
of this, there's people you can see in the cast who I love, you know, up and coming actors, and this just looks like a unique setting and a unique place to tell something like a vampire story, in digging into the deeper kind of reasons for vampire stories, which are like recession or depression era stories about, you know, that's what the kind of metaphor is for them, you know, Black Plague, depressions, whenever times are really bad, vampire stories are kind of the metaphor for that. When commercialism starts to go run rampant, we get zombie stories, you know, all that stuff. This is horror 101. But this looks like
whole trailer, and I had no idea it was vampires.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like,
but you don't know what it is.
what?
That's the thing.
What
That's
is
the thing. That's the
going on?
intrigue.
Yeah.
I mean, it might not even be. It could be something different. But it's like, again, it's a creature feature, and they're selling the intrigue, and they got the sizzle.
Yeah.
And we want to see the steak.
That's
So,
great.
Oh yeah, Chris Christopherson, totally. She's totally a fan.
oh, Haley Steinfeld. Oh yeah, she's
Yeah.
gonna fucking be a vampire. But that's, I mean,
vampires and robots.
all that's gonna do is just
Yeah,
make a
everything.
whole bunch of people fall even more in love with Haley Steinfeld. Now you get a vampire version. So there you go. For all the goths out there, happy year to you. Next, I'll talk real fast. There's a new movie out. It is DreamWorks, The Wild Robot. I feel like this one's kind of flying under the radar. It was a popular book, but like, you know, DreamWorks takes those swings. They launch original kind of things, and they don't necessarily start out with so much hype. But they do kind of catch on and become very popular, whether it's like Shrek, Kung Fu Panda, How to Train Your Dragon. They have a new intro which just shows you where they just flex on all the things they made, like the little DreamWorks moon guy bounces to all the great stuff. Did they do The Bad Guys, that one? Because my kids have watched that a million times too.
I love that movie. Yeah, that's great.
So Wild Robot stars Lupita Nyong'o as this robot in this kind of like near future world that was being delivered for home assistance. It's a smart robot with all these kind of crazy smart features, and the plane that it's on crashes in a storm, and she gets stranded on this island with wild animals. She kind of uses her software to adapt to speak animal and begins living amongst them and kind of mimicking them. And she ends up inadvertently hatching a baby duckling, which kind of imprints on her as her mother. And it's kind of this odd family. She has no idea what to do, so she gets kind of guidance from this shady fox, and who tries to help her, and they form this weird kind of chosen family. And it's about parenting. It's about like family, whether chosen or otherwise. It's about kind of like nature versus nurture and all these deeper kind of themes. But again, like in DreamWorks, it's very well done. DreamWorks is kind of filling that gap of Pixar, if Pixar is doing sequels and stuff like that, to be doing it with original stories again. It's fantastically animated with this kind of like taking the book art, the kind of like painted style of the book art, and making that alive. The designs and functions of the robot and all that stuff is really kind of like brilliantly thought out, and all the ways the robot like approaches. There's all these silent sequences like in the building of the robot just trying to approach these problems in nature and figure out robots or communicate its functions to robots. There's like a gag where he keeps trying to give them coupons and stuff like that, because it's a commercial robot, you know what I mean? So it's always trying to promote its own kind of Amazon style company and stuff like that. And like the animals are just like, what? And it's great. It's cute. It's funny. Parents laugh almost as much as kids, because there is a whole level of it that is a very slightly dark kind of commentary on parenting, because, you know, animals are great subjects because they have kids, but they have very different attitudes towards offspring than we do as humans. And so that can be played for a lot of very dark jokes about like parenting to a human audience, which, you know, is a little cathartic for parents to be able to give you a lane to laugh at some of your darker impulses towards your children sometimes when they're really nerds. But anyway, it's really well done, and Lupita Nyong'o is killing it this year. Like, her vocal performance is fantastic as the robot. She, between this and Quiet Place Day One, she's just helping put genre material a little bit higher. So and the language in it, it's good for kids. I mean, this is a safe movie for kids. It's it's all good. Like, it's very much for kids and has a lot of funny kid gags. Like, and they're gonna love like seeing a robot do silly stuff, seeing the animals do silly stuff, and a great voice cast. What's his name from? Matthew. What's his name from? Is it Matthew Berry from What We Do in the Shadows?
Oh, nice. I didn't realize he was in this.
Oh, he's great. He plays this beaver who's obsessed with toppling this the biggest tree on the island. And so everybody just kind of makes, Matt Berry, as they think he's just obsessed because he keeps been chewing. It's like the biggest, thickest, oldest tree, and he can never get through it. But so they just watch him obsessively doing this. Pedro Pascal's in it. Kit Connor, Catherine O'Hara's in it. Bill Nye, Stephanie Hsu, Mark Hamill, like Ving Rhames. Like, yeah, there's the voice cast is pretty stacked and pretty excellent. But Lupita is really the star of the show. So really good movie. So I wasn't expecting that. Actually got to figure out a way to get my busy weekend, but it's raining out now. So we got to figure out maybe how to get the kids in for it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. All right. Check that out because it is worth it. It's worth it for kids. It's worth it for adults. Another Dark Horse Dreamworks hit. So don't sleep on this one. This is my PSA for you guys. We try to help you.
I love that we're going from something so lighthearted to something not at all.
Oh, yeah. Now, just to swing you to the other side of the field, talk about a wild robot. No, talk about a wild robot. Let's talk about Vince McMahon. Let's talk about Vince McMahon. Oh, man. Maddie, it is rare that we can all come together. You and Evan are good wrestling talk guys. Me and Janelle are a little bit more novice, but it's rare we can all come together and talk about something in wrestling world together. Take it away.
Of course, it had to be this.
Yeah, of course. One thing that can bring us all together. Vince McMahon. Let's go. All right.
Oh my God. Yeah. For those who aren't familiar, Mr. McMahon is a long in development Netflix documentary that at one point featured Vince McMahon and was actually, he was participating in it. And a lot of these interviews were actually done in like 2021 or slightly before, somewhere in 2022. And then this is a 6-episode series. So you very much see the arc of how things kind of started to when you get to the final episode. It is, the accusations came out and then the lawsuit and then, all of those things, the federal investigation, all of that stuff from the New York Times report happened. And that's when he pulled out of the series and filming any more interviews. And so for that last episode, it's actually quite interesting because we get the reporters, the journalists, we actually get more of them talking about some of those things that are happening. And we still get input from superstars, and also there's still footage of Vince in that episode from his previous interviews, though. So it is a really, but I will say the investigation and the lawsuits and all of that is very prevalent throughout the entire 6-episode run. Mm-hmm. So even though things were changing in real time, and if you've gone to read any of the behind the scenes things about even just filming this whole thing, it's kind of wild. I mean, every aspect of this is pretty surreal in a lot of cases, but we are dealing with one of the most surreal people in television history and in reality, Vince McMahon. And here's the thing, I'm very curious what Kofi and Janelle think, because they're not as immersed in this world as me and Evan are on a day-to-day basis, right? But what I will say is that even the things that I knew, I mean, a lot of wrestling fans, and Evan, you can weigh in on this, like Montreal Screwjob, right? It's doesn't get more iconic than that. WrestleMania 3, WrestleMania 1, the steroid scandal, all of these things have been covered in other documentaries or other things, but like I still learned new things from this documentary about almost every single one of those. Like they actually did a really good job of finding pockets of things we didn't know, footage we hadn't seen, and showing it, because obviously you can now because Vince is no longer a part of WWE. I don't, what did you think?
Yeah, I think that this documentary in general, I think, was made for folks who don't know as much about wrestling, because I think that, like, Matt, you mentioned it perfectly earlier. Like, if you know what the Montreal screw job is, then you're pretty like, this isn't a documentary that's necessarily made for you. But I think, like, from a perspective of, you don't have as well, you're not as well versed as wrestling nerds in general, I think that this kind of works. I did have some qualms with it. I mean, just in terms of, I think Vince McMahon is the devil. So it's kind of like, it's kind of weird to be like, yeah, Matt shakes his head because it's like, yeah, if you know all the stuff like that Vince McMahon has done over the years in terms of not just like his personal life, but also just like how he treated the wrestlers and the superstars and everything, it's tough in a way to just kind of see like that first episode. I think it's a little too complimentary of him in general, just to be like, oh, look at it, he built this organization, yeah, by like stepping on the throats of every other, you know, promoter that was out there, and yeah, they address it, and there's stuff like that. But like, I think that this is kind of a good outline if you're unfamiliar with like the creation of the WWE, what Vince McMahon did in order to create it, as well as a lot of the, you know, behind the scenes stuff. It works in that regard. I'm kind of reminded of the Fire Festival documentary. The two documentaries that came out. One was on Netflix and the other one was on.
Oh, did we lose Evan?
Did we
and I
lose Evan?
preferred the Hulu.
Oh, there he goes.
The Hulu. He preferred the Hulu one. There was a Netflix and a Hulu. We all chose Hulu in that one.
Are we losing Evan? No,
Listen,
it's Agatha.
We're getting some of this hurricane as well.
Yeah.
So shout outs to our internet for holding
Evan
up.
told us he might be on limited time on the internet. So we'll take over for him. But he was talking about comparing this to the two Fire Fest. Oh, there he is.
Hurricane Helene is currently happening right now in Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah, this is effectively like the this feels like the Fire Festival, like that same kind of thing where Netflix made a documentary and it wasn't as good as the Hulu version. But the problem is we're not getting a Hulu version of Vince McMahon's life here. I hope that we do. I think that there's so much. I mean, like Matt had said earlier about Vince McMahon, he's a very surreal human being. And there's a lot that's funny about him. Like, he didn't know what a burrito was. And that's a true story. For the longest time, he had eaten burritos and he had no idea what they were. But he's also an evil monster. And so it's this weird kind of like dichotomy in general. But if you want like an outline, this works as an outline to give you a general understanding of the WWE and Vince McMahon as a person. Then you can do a deeper dive into it. So this is something of a springboard. But I would recommend it to folks who don't know as much about the WWE.
I found it first. I think one of the most surprising things for the documentary are kind of the more subtextual, subliminal things about it. First, I didn't realize how much of this I actually have programmed in my head until I started rewatching this. Mm-hmm. And like I'm a casual wrestling fan. I've been like a consistent but casual wrestling fan. I just fell off after the Attitude Era, like that. I wasn't there for the Kurt Angle, John Cena, kind of going back to PG era of wrestling. You know, I was in college. It didn't interest me. So I fell off and I didn't come back to it until I think Triple H and them took more creative control and we started getting back into this, or then I started working with you guys, either way. But they're up until then, from the 80s till the mid 2000s, like I didn't realize how much of this I was plugged into until I started watching it back. And I remember being in college my freshman year and hanging out with a bunch of my buddies and going to this house and we did Monday Night Raw every night. Some of the storylines, we were there for the car crash and like all of that. And just when it started, we started watching it because we were a bunch of college guys swigging beer and doing a bunch of other stuff we shouldn't have been doing. And just like, because that was the Attitude Era was aimed at our age group. Like, and so we were up to like 10 or whatever it was when Raw went off and watching, you know, the girls get their clothes ripped off and crazy, spicier, bloodier storylines and all of that stuff. But I think the documentary I compare this the most to is the Jinx, in the sense that they started making something like a character study, but then something happened in the midst of it. And then they had to kind of rework the whole thing. And I think they did a very good job of that, about like you said, creating the dramatic irony of having you watch this whole thing, but you knowing the context that has broken open, where we've now seen the mask completely fall off of Vince McMahon and see what he's really like in the deepest, darkest part of himself. And then keeping that in the mind, but never hammering you over the head over it, kind of letting him extend the rope, so to speak, to kind of hang himself, because you see him kind of be, you see everything he says and everything he thinks about himself and every way he kind of to spin reality or market reality essentially into something he wants it to be. And then by the end thing, you see what it really is. Now where the line is between like man and performance and like all of that. And there's nothing you can say. And that last episode is done very well. They did that last episode very well in the editing on that, because that was a hard one to pull off. But it's sad because you also see all these very famous, successful entertainers, and like the way they cut that last episode where they're just all talking about after they tell you all the horrible things he did, and they're just like, well, yeah, he's like a dad to me. And like, it's sad. Like, it's sad to see Hulk Hogan and The Rock and John Cena, who it's almost, I've done a lot of not just the Jinx, but, the Nexium thing, like a lot of cult. I've studied a lot of weird stuff about, sociopaths and cults and narcissistic sociopaths. And that's what kind of WWE is. And this documentary kind of lays it out to you, that WWE is kind of like that. It is kind of like a cult run by a cult leader. And, he even kind of lets the mask slip at one point. He kind of even insinuates that he knows that he finds like guys who need like a father figure, or that he becomes too. And he knows how to play that part and do that and really get them to do all these crazy things with their bodies and their minds and, all of this stuff. And so that's what I just kept thinking about was the Durst thing, because like, yeah, you hear Durst and he's so good in that thing about almost convincing you that he didn't do this obvious killing that he did, that we all know he did. And like, yeah. And I was talking to Matt on the side, but it almost, Vince is so good in this, even in this documentary, even with his lip filler and looking like a weird mask of himself by, even when you see the old footage of up to the new interview, he's still charismatic about not just selling you on him, but like the WWE, what he does, his world, and even almost convincing you at certain points that, he's an okay guy and like reasonable guy and all that stuff. And then you hear his text messages and you're like, oh, okay, well, yeah. All right. That tracks. And yeah, but I mean, and then there's just chilling things and chilling little moments. Like the Owen Hart thing is like, we all know about that. But like when you actually hear him talk about it and you can look him in the eye and just see him rationalize this deeply horrible thing and rationalize it to the point that he's doing things to coerce others to do. And if you don't know what we're talking about, Owen Hart was Bret Hart's brother. When Bret Hart left, Owen Hart was still wrestling for WWE, and he was doing a stunt to come down from the ring in this high harness thing. The harness was defective, it broke, he fell, he died, and like laying on the ring, and Vince McMahon made the call to keep the show going. And so the rest of the night, the wrestlers performed over his bloody stain on the ring. Like they all wrestled over that. And it's just like,
yeah, that's where they lost me. I was like, I think I'm done watching this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just
Seriously,
like,
I was
No
like,
one would blame you.
No, it's okay.
Negativity, sadness. I just, the whole thing is gross. Like this whole show is just depressing.
Yeah,
There's
no, it's
nothing
not a happy
exciting.
show.
It's not like sentimental, like, oh, I remember, when Hulk Hogan was huge and this was so exciting. Like it's all overshadowed by negativity. And it's like, I don't know. It's, if you're a masochist, watch it.
I would say that actually a recommendation for you, Janelle, would be The Resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts. That's an amazing documentary about one of the biggest professional wrestlers of all time who goes to a very dark place and is able to come back from it. And it's very uplifting. I was going to also recommend things like Dark Side of the Ring.
Dark Side of the Ring is excellent.
As well as Beyond the Mat. But those could be a little depressing. Dark Side of the Ring.
Well, it's
sometimes
just, it
can be
just
funny,
feels like
but
they're
Don't
beating
watch
a
the
dead
Benoit
horse.
episode. Yeah.
Like,
just
but
don't
it just
watch that.
it feels like a dead horse beating. Like you're just it's like, okay, we get it. He sucks. He sucks. He sucks. He sucks. He sucks. He
Yeah.
sucks. He sucks. I don't need 6 episodes. I need one documentary of it. Right.
No,
Like it's
think-
a little over the top. Like I just don't really need all of this.
I
But
thought they broke
had
it up
all these
really
interviews. Well, yeah, they had all these interviews. They want to use them, and I get it. Like you have The Rock, you have to, you have John Cena. You got to use this content. But how is this ever supposed to be like an ode to him? I don't know. Nobody seemed to even be trying to say nice stuff. They just defended him, but it wasn't like nice stuff about him.
No, there was a fair amount, but that's the thing. Like that's why I compare it to like Nexium or the Jinx or something. Like there are a fair amount of people that I think when more comes out about this and more about this trial, and we look back at this thing again, like you're gonna see it does a good job of painting the pattern that it can't officially say yet, but setting all the pieces in place. And that's why I like how they broke it up. Like they start with the promo. Like here's the promo of what Vince McMahon wants you to see, and all him insinuating like I'm only going to show you in his confidence in the beginning I'm only going to show you nobody knows me, and we're not going to go. And I think that was the real intent in this: is who is this guy? Like really, who is this dude? And episode by episode, they do a good job of first kind of like peeling back. Okay, here's the promo. Here's the reality of the business of what happened. Here's the guy who's doing it and kind of a little bit about him. Here's how he really treats his real life when, behind the show and all that. And finally, like, here's when the mask falls off and the line between his performance and what's really going on. So I thought they kind of sectioned it out really well, but you are correct. No parts of this turned out to be happy. And I think that's the important point is like how much positivity has this guy put out. Like the family one's really interesting because they all, and that one's, and this is the conflict, and this is a conflict with cult leaders and stuff. Like his own children will defend him tooth and nail and say, like, no matter what's happened to them, my dad's a great man. I love him. I love my dad and all of that. But as a guy who has a son, like I couldn't imagine having a relationship like that with like him and Shane. Or treating my son like that.
Or the story like him like making out with a young girl in front of his wife, like on national. It's just so it's so wrong. Like the whole thing is
just like or like the storyline with like Stephanie that she wouldn't even talk about because it was so still disturbing to her. And he's like, "Oh yeah, we were gonna make a storyline where she had my baby." Like, I think that went a little too far. And it's like, okay, or like. Saying that, I mean, I've just watched the Menendez thing, so this is all just really kind of...
We're spending too much time on this.
Yeah. I just don't like being a 90s kid anymore. Like,
I know.
They keep taking the fun out of it. Like, nothing we did was good, apparently. Like, we were just trash bags, and the whole world was dumpster fire. And
I mean, here's the thing, though. I mean, you could say that about just about every... generation and every decade.
True.
So they're going to be saying that about the 2010s, and they're going to be saying about the 2020s and the 2030s.
Oh God,
there's just when you're in it, right? When you're in the middle of the decade, it seems normal. Everything seems like it's just typical. It is what it is. And then when you have some kind of chance to analyze it, you go, "Oh God,
All right, let's get out of this dark hole and get into some good, lighthearted geek news. All right, Evan, are we getting more Jujutsu Kaisen? We got to do a quick anime check-in.
Yeah, very, very quickly. Jujutsu Kaisen, an amazing supernatural shonen series that started in 2020. Creator Gigi Akutami is about to release the final chapter. They have promoted the idea that they will have something new coming when it comes to this manga series. Nothing has been confirmed. Leaks are out there for folks who are wondering about this chapter. But I will say for folks here and for listeners in general who haven't gotten into this series, there's a great springboard. A prequel film called Jujutsu Kaisen 0 is currently available to watch on Netflix. If you don't have Crunchyroll, it's an hour and a half. It gives you all the details you need. And luckily, Netflix also has season 1, I believe. And then Crunchyroll has seasons 1 and 2 that you can dive into. Really worth checking out. The shonen anime stuff that's printed in Weekly Shonen Jump is seeing a lot of its anime manga series are coming to an end. Jujutsu Kaisen is one of them. So the future of anime is up for grabs. There are a lot of takers, but it will be interesting to watch. I would recommend folks check out Jujutsu Kaisen Zero to kind of get an idea for what they would want or what they're in for if they want to jump into this anime. And yeah, will it continue? We don't know yet, but from what I've seen, the ending to this series is somewhat definitive, so we'll see.
I was in a bar last night, and the subject of Chainsaw Man went off like fire.
Oh man, that's
all demos. We were hitting all demos. People were just popping up, unexpected people. Beauty queens in the corner were like, "Oh my god, I love power," and we were like, "What is happening out here?" Chainsaw Man.
Chainsaw Man,
it's taking over, kids. It's taking over.
Yeah.
The kids love it.
Yeah, it does. It's what they're bopping to.
It's
all right,
Matt.
Over on the pull list side, Matt, we got a couple comic stories and a comic to talk about. We can just do it all in one big comic roundup right now.
Well,
yeah.
So I'll touch base on this, and then I shoved the Green Lantern news in here because it's DC. I'll throw it in here. I will say, everyone who's listened to, or anyone who's listened to the show over the past few years probably knows that my disdain for Avengers versus X-Men. So when I saw that we were getting an Avengers X-Men versus X-Men sequel, kind of, we are getting the face-off. It is not branded as like this MIDI event that they're splitting out, but it is going to be taking place within the Avengers series. The thing that gives me hope is that it is, number one, happening within Avengers, which has been a very good book, and it's been under Jed McKay. And then Jed McKay is also writing X-Men. So the fact that like it's the same writer and already has a handle on these characters and is bringing them together and has already also put one of the members of both sides on the Avengers team in Storm, and that's going to be our kind of point of view character. All of this gives me a little bit of optimism that this won't suck, because I cannot stand that other event. And the reason why is because it made to force the event to happen, it made all of the characters act like they would not act, talk like they don't talk, and do things they would never do. And so with this being a little more organic, having the same person at the helm, he already has a feel for these characters. I'm really hoping that doesn't happen. And so I'm optimistic about that. That's all going to start on in Avengers number 21.
Get to the real thing we all really want to see.
So then there's an X-Men Civil War happening, which they've already, again, partly with Jed McKay as well as Gail Simone. That will be the thing we've already kind of been talking about and has been established in X-Men and Uncanny, but they are going to be, it is called the War for Grey, is it? Raid. The Raid on Greymaking, I believe. So it is in that first issue of X-Men, they teased Prisoner X. Well, hey, guess what? They revealed it in the solicitation. They revealed, hey, it's Professor X. He's the one in there. And we're going to be essentially warring.
I am
the two
shocked.
teams are really going to come into. I know, seriously. I was hoping for a big twist. That was not it. I was hoping for Mephisto. It was not Mephisto. It was Professor X. But evidently, we are going to be coming into conflict, not only because that is obviously the former grounds of the X Mansion has been in control by Orcus since everything happened, but now who gets Professor X? What even is he at this point? You know, dudes went off his rocker last time around. Kind of, he's able to kind of do his own thing anyway, even though he's in prison. No one knows. There's a lot of things happening, but that is also going to be starting between those two books in X-Men and Uncanny. So that is all on the plate this year. Avengers 21 is really where the Avengers versus X-Men thing starts, and we'll kind of see how it bleeds from there. But a lot of interesting stuff happening in the X books. Kofi, I mean, you're one of our biggest X books people here. I mean, is this excite you? Is this a good thing, bad thing?
I want a twist. We brought back Sugar Man. It should be Nate Gray is under that thing. We need to bring back Nate Gray. Yeah. We need a real twist. Nate Gray under that helmet.
Boy.
No, I'm down. I tried to read Avengers vs. X-Men. I think I got through like the first couple chapters of a trade, and I was like, yeah, no. Like, exactly. You hit the nail on your head. Like, when you have to make both team act like asses just to pull off the event, like, where you know that most of these characters could just simply communicate with each other and figure this out, like, it's not a good thing. I'm with Brywood, though. Overall, From the Ashes has been slow start. I'm not ready. I don't think I can even render judgment on it overall because nothing's really happened. People are still finding themselves in ish, and like I don't know, like I don't know what's going on. But this looks promising. I've been waiting for the Cyclops versus Rogue of it all, so I'm excited by that. And like you said, Jed McKay having control of all those characters seems like it's going to be a better fit than what we got before. We can actually find grounds for some conflict in this, especially with Cyclops' team. So get to the thing I know you really want to talk about.
Oh boy, so we've been talking about Green Lantern for a while over the last few weeks, and it feels like everybody and their brother was being cast for this movie, being cast as Hal Jordan, and then like those kept not happening. Ewan McGregor, Josh Brolin, all these people. Matthew McConaughey was even in that mix, and evidently either all of those passed or they went a different direction or whatever. Now, though, we have reportedly Kyle Chandler, Friday Night Lights fame, is going to play Hal Jordan in the Lantern series that is heading to HBO. Obviously, no other. We're still waiting on a lot of casting, as people have noted. I think I saw in the chat. John Stewart is now the next big casting there that we need, because this series is going to essentially follow those two, with this version of Hal reportedly being a little bit older and kind of being the vet, and John Stewart kind of coming in as more as the not rookie but like newer person to the group.
Who would you
cast? They're evidently planning to shoot in January 2025. That's not too far away, so they got to get casting done. So that's probably why we've been hearing so much. But I was mixed on Josh Brolin, not for anything about Josh Brolin as an actor, because he's great. He's fantastic. But just like what a Josh Brolin type would bring to Hal Jordan seemed off to me. I was like, that'd
be very different. Yeah.
And so Kyle Chandler, I see that and go, yeah, I can absolutely see that. You're bringing some kind of gravitas and a little bit of this, roughness to the character, if you are going to go with kind of this older Hal, but you still get the kind of offbeat charm, the charisma. You still get that in there. I think that's important. So I'm more excited for this casting, but I don't know what you guys feel.
Kyle Chandler's like freaking Mr. Reliable of Hollywood. Like, that you're going to get good stuff out of him. And I like it. I can really see him, especially if you saw like Godzilla, King of the Monsters or something like that, you can see him being kind of like the veteran Hal Jordan, who's not as cocky and cocksure as he used to be, who's more kind of jaded and has seen some stuff that's kind of left him a little more haunted, possibly could take that parallax turn, you know what I mean? Like go a little nuts. But I'm curious, because the chat's already heating up a little bit, like about who John Stewart to that is. I would say Aaron Pierre is a very good pick from Rebel Ridge. I mean, obviously he's fresh on everybody's mind right now. I would also say, after I kind of rewatched Predator, Trevante Rhodes would be excellent as John Stewart. And I could see him and Kyle Chandler kind of playing that with like good subtextual conflicts and stuff like that, of him being kind of a younger guy, combat veteran, not wanting to listen to this older, subtextually whiter guy who's just trying to tell him like what to do with a space ring, and being like, all right. And those two would be a good pairing, I think. But Aaron Pierre is also excellent actor and would be kind of really good. I don't know. I think it's just, now you got to cast not just who's a good John Stewart, but who's like a great John Stewart to him. Sorry, Tyrese, I don't think it's you.
I was about to say, what about Tyrese? No, I think Aldous Hodge. Give him another chance at DC, man. He was great.
Oh, Aldous Hodge would be great too.
I thought
give him another chance. I thought he was great.
He'd be fantastic as that.
Going
back to our original idea from more Justice League Mortals, you could do. Common's still a really excellent actor who would be kind of good to go up against Kyle Chandler, because they could get each other's faces really well.
Leverage for life.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of good picks out there we could get, but I think, that banter between Kyle Chandler and whoever they pick as John Stewart will be kind of what sells it. Matt, what do you think about the theories about Blackest Night in here? Because we've gotten synopsis for this where there's like some hellish mystery on Earth these two space cops are investigating that's gonna eventually bleed out into all these other DC movies, including Superman and stuff.
I do think we are going to get teases of the emotional spectrum. I do like Blackest Night is like so extreme on the other end of that. Like that took so long to build to, and there was so much going on there. Like I think that's a little like, whoa, let's slow the brakes, because let's not do all of that right off the bat. What worked about that and the lead up was being introduced to the other spectrums, their other lanterns. That was a path. That was a journey to get there. So I don't want us to speed into that, because then no one will care. It'll be all these, the cool colors for a minute, and then no one's going to care. It needs to have substance and it needs to have characters. But I am all for building that to the future. And if you're going to do that, yeah, you got to plant the seeds for fear, rage, like avarice. Like you have to hope, my favorite. You have to build to those. And I think it absolutely makes sense for you to start dabbling in those and setting things in motion for that.
It's like, okay, but who do you cast as Larfleeze?
Man, boy,
remember Larfleeze?
Larfleeze is amazing. He's still amazing.
All that.
Larfleeze, for those who don't know and who probably have seen artwork, is the we'll just say Orange Lantern. He's the Orange Lantern who's basically Gollum. Who is precious. He's mine. He always wants all of the power and he wants all of the rings. He is fantastic. And whenever he does make his debut, in James Gunn, I trust. James Gunn will have a field day with that character. But yeah, not yet. Let's just get the greens right. Can we just get the two of the core lanterns right? And then let's move on into the other space.
All right, well, we're going to wait and see. I think the next big thing we'll be hearing, like I said, the Jon Stewart casting and kind of that whole thing will be kind of, the next big thing we got to do on the lantern front. We got a couple last things to just touch on. Janelle, do you have to go? You still with us?
I mean, I have childcare for the day, but we'll figure this out. Hugh Jackman is trying to get an Oscar for his performance in Deadpool Wolverine, which I'm actually so tickled about. I think this is really exciting for all comic book movie fans. I think this would add some credibility, especially to something like this, like a movie like this that is really edgy and very comic booky and just really such an iconic duo, and it's like a comedy. Seeing this up against other supporting actor nominees would just be so exciting, in my opinion. And obviously Disney is behind it. Kofi wrote an awesome article about this, and Disney has a lot of sway, and they're pretty good at doing this kind of stuff and getting people nominated and kind of doing the award show shebang. So I think this would be so cool. And I really hope this actually happens. And it's not only just the Oscar, they're kind of trying to get a buzz for the, SAG Awards and Critics' Choice and things like that. And I think that would be awesome. But I think Ryan Reynolds should get nominated too in the leading actor, but that's just me.
No, I mean, Ryan Reynolds, they're going to go for Golding. They're going to make a big push. I mean, I do a critics group. I know a lot of this.
Yeah.
We'll keep it short. But they're going to do a lot of push for the Golden Globes in the whole musical or comedy category, which is something they can clean up in and get a lot more traction with. Yeah. The Academy Award, and I wrote up that Hugh Jackman should at least get a nomination for this. I believe that for supporting actor, because I think we've been all about Deadpool and Wolverine and kind of like the pulpy fun of it. The MCU crossovers, the Fox cameos and all that. But the movie is serious. Like, there is a serious subtext to the movie and a meta level to it, where it is an examination of Hugh Jackman and his role in the X-Men movies and the kind of precarious place he occupies. Like, he was very much an iconic piece of those early comic book movies, but he never got the level of like box office or prestige that the MCU would then later get. And, he's still beloved, but, his franchise wasn't as successful, right? There was a lot of there were just as many misses as there were hits to it. And, he put in a lot of the work. I mean, physically, mentally, Hugh was a one-man promotional machine for all those years and all those films and did all that. And this film does get into that. There is a meta level where they are very seriously talking about Hugh Jackman. You know, that whole sequence at the end with "You are the X-Man" they're not talking about Wolverine. They're talking about Hugh Jackman. And there's a very serious thing about him and even joking about his divorce and all that. Like, this is all about, you know, his career and like what has happened and, you know, what he's sacrificed to try to like make this character and deliver for fans and do that, and the pain of not being part of something like the MCU, which then gets all the glory for it. And so there is a serious thing in there. And if they pick the right scenes for the consideration clips, like, yeah, there's scenes where he's really kind of talking about that on that double level. And the Oscars loves to celebrate, you know, the navel gazing stuff of people just kind of, you know, movies about artists creating art in the kind of meta layered thing, and even movies about the filmmaking process. If we can see the weird stuff about Steven Spielberg's family with a straight face and celebrate Meet the Fablemans and be like, this is wonderful. Yeah. Like, yeah, we can definitely at least give this a consideration. And I also said it's a conciliatory Oscar because he should have gotten it for Logan. He should have been nominated that year.
Yeah.
And it was crazy that he wasn't. And so, like, yeah, the Oscars always loves to do these kind of mea culpas where they just, here's the Oscar we should have given you for the last time you were Logan. Sorry. So he should be considered, and they should make the push. I don't know if he'll get there, but it's not crazy. It's not crazy to me. So we'll see. We'll see where that goes. Oh man. Hey, anybody? Am I the only one watching Rings of Power still? Anybody?
No, I've been watching it too.
You like it? Have you liked it this season?
Yeah, I've enjoyed it more this season than the last one, actually. I don't know what your thoughts are on it before I immediately dive in, but
well, we were doing a whole recap show. Me and Jamie love it. That's done now. But yeah, I was just going to talk about this latest episode real quick, and yeah, they change a lot, and I think I'm going to write about this when it's over next week. They change a lot from the lore of Tolkien, like no doubt.
Sure.
But I think it works well as a TV show. Like, I think this season they just were willing to break from lore a little more in order to create thematic circles of the storyline, and I have enjoyed. It's dropped a lot of balls, like the Dark Wizard. Like, what the hell happened to that?
Yeah,
and, like,
that's one of the weak.
The Harfoots, the Dark Wizard, that whole storyline feels like Numenor is going to get cut off. Really crazy, but the whole thematic thing about how evil spreads by these little compromises in people. All these little compromises in people, and how that kind of builds up and culminates. And this episode really did it when you see, you know, Celebrimbor trying to take down Sauron. He's like, you think you're the only person I've corrupted here? Like, and it's like, no, I've corrupted everybody here. And like, I can now make anybody do what I want. So it was, I think it's been well done, in a theme that carries across like how it begins to split families and friends and all that stuff. Those little bad compromises. So I thought they did a pretty well done storyline this time. So yeah. Janelle's back. I thought she was just out of here because she has like limited time with childcare. We thought you had just split in protest.
I'm so sorry, dude.
I was like, man,
the
I was like,
got me.
Oh no, you're cool. We just thought you were like even out. You're like, my time is done. I'm out of here. And I was like, oh, okay. All right.
No, I'm not even saying goodbye.
We can only hold you as long as we can hold you. I know. And we have it in your contract stipulations that you can storm out whenever you need to. So yeah, I thought that they did a good job thematically, but the show, and I think Jamie loved it. I hope we get to talk to him and maybe about the finale next week. It's a show I don't want to throw out, but it still needs tweaks. Like, they got to scale. They could have scaled this thing way down. Yeah. Way down. So yeah,
I was actually, like you mentioned the Sauron bit. At the end of the first season, I was very anti what they were doing with Sauron, because like in my head, he's always been like a 12-foot tall murder
Demon
machine.
Lord. Yeah.
And so like seeing him as like just a dude was,
this
like,
is the time when he was fair.
Yeah, but like, and I think that like the way they positioned him in this as like being the voice in the ear of Celebrimbor. I always call him Kellogg's Blueberry, or whatever, Kellogg Blueberry. But no, the way that they portrayed him this season, I thought worked exceptionally well. I thought
Charles Edwards deserves some kind of nomination.
He's super good, but I totally agree with you, Kofi. Like, I don't know what they're doing with the Gandalf stuff. It just seems like, I don't know, they needed to give something for Gandalf, so they did that. But I thought that some other the latest episode and the battle worked exceptionally well for me. I thought that worked really well. Yeah, they're changing a lot of stuff from like the Silmarillion and all of that, but yeah, it's a TV show. It works in that regard, I think.
All right, finally, all together now. What'd you guys think? We Batman Along Halloween. This is our final topic of the day. Is back for the last Halloween, and Jeff Loeb is back. Who's is Eduardo? What is the name of the artist?
Eduardo Risso.
Eduardo Risso. Yes, there. I knew I had it on the tip of my tongue. It was interesting. I was highly skeptical because these are two of my favorite stories in Batman lore. I mean, the whole year 1, year 2 segment of the storyline. Frank Miller year 1, then Jeff Loeb Long Halloween, and Tim Sale, and then Dark Victory. I love those. So this was hallowed ground for me. So far, I thought it was way too short. That was my thing. I got to the end and I was like, what the hell? I was like, Matt, why did you where's my complete?
Is that why Janelle asked me how many pages?
Yeah, I didn't respond. I was busy when she sent that. I was like in the middle of doing something, but I wanted to say I echoed the same thing. Like, yeah, I was like, is that it?
Yeah.
Is that all I'm getting? Like, oh, so it was too short. That was it, which means it was good.
Yeah.
I just wanted to keep going. And then when I got to the end, I was like, no. Like,
so I'm curious. Because, well, okay, number one, actually, first, before I get there, Janelle, what did you think about this? Because I believe, if I'm correct, this is your first introduction to this story overall, because I don't think you've read the original, right?
I haven't at all. I didn't even realize there was a precursor to it. So that's good that I didn't feel like I was missing something. Yeah, I very much enjoyed this. I thought it's just getting me kind of in the spirit of the Halloween stuff. And like, it just feels good to be reading comics again, more than anything. Like, you sent me, I read like every single comic you sent me. So I read like 5 comics this week because it just was awesome. And honestly, like every book was really powerful and great. And I'm not even mad that it's Batman.
I know we've come such a long way.
that is big.
So I read. So I was, and the question I was going to ask before was, obviously, like Kofi mentioned, this is the third in this trilogy of stories. The first 2 were done, obviously, before the great Tim Sale passed away. And so for this one, this really, we actually have an interview going live later today with Jeff Loeb, all about kind of assembling this all-star team, which was incredibly easy because everyone wanted to pay tribute to Tim in their own way. And so every issue is from a different artist, and they all leapt at the chance to create and do things. And Eduardo is the first artist on this one. And I think obviously Tim's work is so unique. It's so distinct. As you can, I mean, the cover is still those are all unused Tim Sale covers. And so like the fact that his artwork was so iconic, you can't replace that. But I still felt like Eduardo's work was such a perfect complement. It fits the vibe and especially this first part of the story. But also this is what I think was smart was they released there was a small special that was released that was essentially the primer for this. And so that one was like 56 pages. And that one they essentially re-released last week or the week before as Zero. And so that one is like a 56 page, gets you kind of up to speed on, where things kind of ended. It's more of it's a little bit more of a Robin story, also dealing with Two-Face and like the nature of the relationship between Bruce and Gordon and him, because that was the kind of core trio for a minute, right? So I think that issue does a lot to kind of set the table. So I went ahead and it had been a while since I read that, so I went ahead and read them back to back. And so for me, it didn't feel as short, but it is interesting that like this one pretty much gets right into it. I mean, they do a little bit of getting you up to speed, but like, you might not know why Mario showing up is important, is not something that they kind of get into it, but they don't really get into it. The holiday killer stuff, they just kind of move into like, hey, what this is a copycat killer, and you understand why, especially that last scene, which I won't spoil here, but that last scene, why that matters, them saying that. So there's a lot of great stuff, I think, for those who have been immersed in it. But what I love is that you can read it cold and you still get the mystery, the vibes that they're going for. And so I love that. I love that we got a little bit of both. Evan, I'm not sure where you sit with the franchise, with this particular storyline overall. Sorry.
Yeah. So much like Kofi said, I consider Batman Long Halloween to be one of the greatest Batman stories of all time. I think like the mystery of that, Dark Knight or Dark Victory rather, is a good enough follow-up. I didn't think it hit the same highs as Long Halloween. I mean, obviously the elephant in the room with this was the loss of Tim Sale. I think it was really tough, like in terms of no one can match. Oh yeah, there you go, buddy. I don't know where it is in my giant stack of comics over there, but I would do the same if I had access to it.
Yeah, you don't always flex it on your rooms, but I keep the goods right behind me. They're right there. I got all the classics.
He's got the goods.
But I think that Eduardo Risso really knocked it out of the park with this. There's a story that I love that was by him and Brian Azzarello that was Batman Broken City. That was a fantastic story in and of itself. That they're both the creators of 100 Bullets, which is another not Batman related, but still another amazing comic book series. Great, amazing series. But I liked what this did with this first issue. It justified its existence, and I'm looking forward to see how this kind of finishes out the trilogy and everything.
All right, that is our chunky episode of Comic Book Nation. Welcome to the new era. We are back where we started doing our live show once a week. You'll find us here right now on Friday, but maybe on a different day. We may aim for the middle of the week again, try to catch couple more things so we can talk about things like Penguin and stuff.
I can't believe they moved the Penguin.
It was always going to be Sundays.
Oh, okay. I was like looking for it. I was so excited last night. I'm like, okay, where's my episode?
You're like, no, that was just the premiere. They hooked you with the premiere, and then now you got to come back at regular HBO. It's the HBO Sunday night programming now.
Man. Yeah.
All right. So we'll be here every Friday. As we said at the start, we are now currently comic books only podcast. Everything else is all our other segments are going to get condensed into this, and Phase Zero will not return, to use the Marvel parlance at the moment. So yeah, we'll be here every Friday. We hope to see everybody. We're going to talk about all things comic book, all things geekdom, and thank you, Matt, Janelle, and Evan, for hopping on for this creaky transitional episode. And we're going to hammer out some things behind the scenes and get back to you guys next week. See ya. Peace.